time, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount going through absolutely everything here. I'm just going to run through the, click on the PQQs. It's going to ask me to log in because it times out, obviously. So PQQs. PQQs open to all suppliers is where you would go through and do that filtering activity with the code. I've already done that, so it's already in my list of my PQQs, which, as you can see, is a bit large because there's lots of things open. I'm just going to, so it's this one here at the bottom. Okay, so I've got my messages. So there's one unread message. I'm just going to go in and have a look. And it looks as if I'd asked a question about the qualifications. So yes, I've circulated a response. So that was me asking about, there's no place to attach the qualifications, and that's where they came back and said, we'll ask for them later. So I don't need to look at anything else on messages for the time being. So PQQs, this is where the buyer attachments are. So again, I've downloaded all of these, but this is where you would need to, if you click on them, it automatically puts it into your download folder, or on the right hand side you've got this mass download and you can download everything at once. So buyer attachments, very important, please read those first, and then my response. And because it's a DPS, normally in my response you would have qualification, you might have the technical section and then the pricing, but this is first stage. And you can see I'm already missing, because I'm not filling it in myself, there's mandatory responses here. So click on this one. And this is where, if you are new to PCS tender, unfortunately these screens appear like just a massive list of text and boxes and so on. So what you're looking for is anywhere that's got these boxes to complete. I'm just going to run through not just the parts one, because the basic things. There's a section here where you have to indicate the lots that you want to go for. So I'll just put in a few random ones there. And then there's a section here on number 2 where, and this is where, do you rely on the capacity of other entities in order to meet the selection criteria? So you would have to say yes if you depended on any of your subcontractors or partners, that they had a qualification that was one of the listed ones and you didn't. So at that point you would have to say yes. And then in the form further down, it says, can you please provide a separate SPD response for each of the entities concerned? And then just a little bit further down then is this little triangle with the black. And if you click on that, that's what will open up the SPD form that your other partners need to fill in. So anything that's got that little box, triangle rather, you need to watch out for. So that's in part 2. Just going to very quickly go through. There is a note here, so just for the person that asked about the subcontractors, and it says, insofar as known, please list the proposed subcontractors. So that's a text box. And I think, Elizabeth, that's where I would just fill in whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here's why we don't know them yet, but we're happy to provide them at a later stage. And you can also maybe just confirm that in a question as well. And you get the same, there's a paperclip here and it's the same SPD. If you do list a subcontractor, they would still have to fill in that separate part 1, 2 and 3 of the form. So this is part 3. So you can see already conspiracy. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but there's a whole mass terrorist offences, And people often say, well, why would you say yes to that? The whole point of this is it's self-certification. So we will all say no, no, no to all of these things. But if, say, a year into the contract with FLS, something emerged and they said, well, actually, we now realise that somebody is involved in money laundering, for example, they could immediately take you off the contract. So there would be no discussion. You've self-certified, you've lied basically on the form. No further questions. You're taken off immediately with you've got no comeback on that. So that's why all these no questions are. There's a couple of yes for the tax ones. And I'm just going to, sorry, this is going a bit fast, but just quickly go through to the part 4 questions. So what you'll find is, this is the first part of part 4. Just going to make the size a wee bit bigger. Yes, so the requirement is, and this, so anything that's requirement is going to tell you what's the sort of mandatory that you need to meet. So here's the 2 things that they're looking for. So you must confirm if you or the members of your consortium, so to my mind that would include subcontractors if you're using any, or if you're in a sort of group consortium, obviously. And in the text box, you would then, at this point, just say, yes, I confirm that the following members have XYZ. And you typically get this if the relevant document is available electronically, but that is an absolutely standard part of this SPD document. And to be honest, for most of the answers, it's unlikely, unless you're on a public register somewhere, you're not going to be able to give a web link. You can't attach a document to anything here. So it's purely fill in this bit, and then, to be honest, most of the time I just put in not applicable for this, adding in a document here. Economic and financial is the insurance. And again, they tell you there what they're looking for. And either you can click, yes, I already have this, or no, but I commit to obtain it. If you say no and I cannot commit, basically you're out, or you can say not applicable if it's employers and you literally don't. And if you're a sole trader, for example, you don't employ it. So again, that will be very straightforward to fill in. And this is the one, the important one. So the examples of work, and it's this paperclip here that's going to open up that template with the table 2, and it gives you, again, the instructions here, and there's more instructions on this attachment. Next one's 4C6, which is the whole list of qualifications. And what they've confirmed is you can't attach here, it just says 2,000 characters available. So all you would be filling in there is just to say a list, if you like, of who has what, and copies to be provided on request. And that will be a next stage of the tender. Health and safety. So the crucial thing is here, it's a certificate drawn up by independent bodies. So that's a third party organisation. So that tends to be ISO or SSIP. You say no, and then further down, there's a very big long list. Please don't be put off with this. It's a wee bit difficult to work through. But there's a whole load of things that say, if you don't hold it, please provide details of the following. And just try your best, just to sort of see whatever answers you can put against each of these elements. You then need to somehow put together, submit it as a separate Word document, and you would attach. This is an attached file here. In theory, now this is, so the absolute thing you must have here is the health and safety policy, even if you're smaller, I suggest. And then it does say your relevant supporting documentation. So anything else aside from the policy statement that you've got would be useful here. And exactly the same for environment. So most of us, I suspect, won't have ISO 14001, so you say no. And again, not quite such a long list this time, but work through all this A, B, C, D Is there anything there that you can provide any documents for? Look at the Supplier Development Programme for help, look at Zero Waste Scotland for help, look at Healthy Working Lives for health and safety examples. They've got sample policy documents and risk assessments and so on. And put something together and attach it at this point here. And then the final bit, fill in your name, position, date and place, doesn't need to be signed. Save your changes as you're going along, and then save and exit. And then once you've checked everything, then the document at this point here is these 3 dots where I would look at that printable view. And once I've done that and saved it as a PDF, I could then submit my response. So I'll try and submit my response just out of interest and see what happens. And it's come back saying it's not yet submitted. So it will probably come back at some point. Normally, it would say that you're missing certain types of documents. So missing mandatory 10 here. Okay, Elizabeth, so that's